Hey everyone, it's David from Automotive Press. Guess what I want to talk about today? It's a subject and a topic that you guys have asked me to cover for many different reasons, which is trying to make your car last a lifetime, or at least for a very long time. And I know I've done a number of videos about this already, but today I really want to focus on what happens in the first 7 months of the ownership when you first purchase your car and take it home. During that 7 months, there's some critical things you have to do which will strengthen the reliability and potentially make your car last a lifetime. So the first 7 months I think is critical. Let's go. Welcome back. So let me tell you 7 tips that I can give you to hopefully make your car last a lifetime, because in the first 7 months of ownership, there's some critical things you have to do. The first thing I do anyway when I pick up a new car from a dealership, assuming it is a brand new car, then before I actually drive out of the lot or out of the showroom, I apply my own wax. Now you can choose anything you want. There are many good choices. You don't have to use an expensive wax, but most likely your dealership use the cheapest type of wax onto the paint, or sometimes no wax at all. And so you're driving that car out of the showroom with almost no paint protection. So if you want something simple and straightforward, just use any of the reputable waxes. So this is a Grayad's ceramic 3-in wax, which is highly rated. Or you can just use something cheap, which is like turtle wax version I have. This is just the turtle wax hybrid solutions. I'm not advertising these. I don't get paid by these companies. And honestly, you can use any wax you want, but at least apply one coating before you drive the car out. So that's what I do. I know it seems strange. I go and pick up my car and I start to apply a wax because the car is clean and there's no dust on it, so there's no chance of scratching the car. So that's what I do. Now, if you're buying something more expensive or you really want to keep your paint in a perfect condition, then you got to take it to a professional detailer, professional ceramic coating place, and get at least some kind of a coating applied on the car. So I go straight from dealership directly to my detailer. I use Unique Detailing here in Vancouver, and they do little paint correction, not much because the paint is obviously brand new. And then they'll apply either a ceramic coating or graphene coating. Both are comparable. And of course, it's not cheap, but these coatings will last at least 2 to 3 years, sometimes longer. And you know what? They really do protect the paint. So either you apply something on your own, again, any reputable wax would do, or take it straight to a detailer and get them to apply a proper ceramic coating, and do that as a first step when you pick up the car, because that's when the paint is in the best condition, and likely you don't have to do any kind of paint correction or very minimal amount of it anyway. And you just want to have some kind of paint protection on it before you drive out, because there's so many contaminants out there, everything from bird poo to vandalism. Sometimes you get people throwing egg or something on your car. And you just want to make sure that there's at least thin layer of protection between the element outside and the paint itself. So that's the first thing I do. And by the way, you can consider putting PPF also on some parts of the car. So if you think that some of these paints might get chipped during driving on the highway or something, you can cover it with a PPF. This part, maybe even the hood. Some people cover the whole car, but it's very costly and you don't need to have PPF for everything. Maybe just the front section, and that's one thing you can do when you pick up the car at the dealership. I don't tend to do that because I like the paint the way they are without the actual protection in terms of film. They also don't last a lifetime, and sometimes they have to take some parts apart to put the PPF. So I'm not too crazy about having PPFs, but that is definitely one way to protect your car, especially if you have an expensive car or something exclusive or special to you, and you may want to keep the paint as original as possible. The second thing I do, again, at the dealership when I'm picking up the new car, is to ask them to check the tire pressure, or I'll check it myself using my own tire gauge, because I found that 50% of the time the dealership did not do a proper commissioning or preparation of the car, and they forgot to check the tire pressure. They might have done everything else. And usually the tire pressures are super high, because when they ship the car from wherever it's coming from, the manufacturer will pump the tires to the maximum tire pressure so that in case it loses some pressure during shipment or movement, you don't end up with a flat tire. So they usually pump it really high. And for some reason, the dealers are just not very good at catching that. And they might do all the other preparation, take all the film off and prepare the inside, but sometimes they forget to check the tire pressure. And you drive away thinking, why is this car riding so rough? And why is it so hard riding? and that's because the tire pressure was too high. Or sometimes the tire pressure is too low. Either way, they don't do a proper check. So ask them to recheck the tire pressure. Before you come to pick up the car, that would be better. Or the best solution is when you pick up the car, check it yourself. That's what I do, all 4 tires. Spare tire, if you have it in the back, yeah, check that as well. And that's okay for the spare tire to be really high, but you want this to be in the proper setting. Now, if you don't know what the proper tire pressure is, open the door. Usually in the door jamb here, there's a tire pressure indicated, or just open the owner's manual. Some manufacturers, especially European manufacturers, will give you 2 different tire pressures to follow, either partial or light load tire pressure or full load. When it's a full load, they want you to increase the tire pressure by another 3 to 4 psi. And under partial load, which is usually 1 or 2 people without too much luggage, they recommend a lower tire pressure. For 90% of you, you can just follow the lower, more comfortable tire pressure, which is called partial tire rating, or some manufacturers in Europe will call it comfort mode. So use that as a tire pressure and just check it before you drive the car away, because then you know for sure the tire is going to wear evenly and it's going to drive properly. The third point is about the braking period, which is really important as well. So for the first 1,000 miles or roughly 1,600 kilometers, just take it easy. Don't drive too aggressively. Don't do hard acceleration or emergency braking unless, of course, it's an emergency. And try to vary the speed so that you're not driving at the constant speed, at a constant engine RPM all the time. Just try to let it vary up and down. Take it easy with the throttle. And just drive it like you have a grandmother in the back seat. And that will be the best way to keep the engine running smoothly, not causing any kind of unnecessary stress on the engine. And so that's really important. Now, every manufacturers have a different braking procedure and braking advice. So you might see something a little bit different from one car company to another. But my suggestion is for the first 1,000 miles or 1,600 kilometers, just take it easy. Don't go too fast. Don't tow anything. And then after that, you can actually drive a little bit more normally. You should drive it more normally and you can enjoy the car. So it's really important to do a proper braking and just take it easy. The fourth point is perhaps the most important one, something I've been talking about for a while, and that is to do with oil change, not just a general fluid change, but specifically the oil change. And so what I'm going to suggest might be a little bit more than what you were thinking, but believe me, it's going to protect the engine. And that is, when you hit 2,000 miles or roughly 3,200 kilometers, do the first oil change. I know it's super early, even earlier than the normal 3,000 miles I might suggest, but the first oil change is the most critical because that's when the most amount of debris and all kinds of metal shaving will be present. So you really want to do the first oil change as early as possible. So I would suggest 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers, do the first oil change. It doesn't matter where you take the car to get that done, and your dealership might say, hey, this is way too early. It doesn't matter. Just say you want to pay for it early or do it yourself and get that fluid out of there, change it so that there's a fresh oil, and hopefully some of the debris and the shavings from the metal would be washed away or taken away, giving engine the best chance. Because once those debris or contaminants or shavings stay inside the engine, it'll be really hard to flush it out later on. So get it out. The first couple months is when you have the most amount of metal shavings or contaminants. And yeah, so do that in 2,000 miles, 3,200 kilometers, or when you hit 3 months, whichever is earlier. Next point is related to the oil change. Since you're changing the oil anyway, get your dealership to do basically a first service. So again, first service is usually not due until sometime 10, 12,000 miles or 16, 18,000 kilometers. But when you do your first oil change at 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers, just do the first service, which includes checking all the fluid, and they'll maybe even rotate the tires. Again, your dealership might say you're crazy to do it that early, but trust me, just the first one, do it super early, get them to check, make sure that nothing is leaking, that everything looks good, or the fluid seems topped off. So again, do the first service early, and you must include the oil change. And yeah, just a good idea to check around to make sure nothing is leaking. When you park at the garage at night, assuming you have a garage to park the car in, double check underneath to see nothing is leaking overnight, that kind of stuff. Just do a quick check all the way around, because you never know. Some of these things can begin to leak in the first few months. The sixth point is to just listen for squeaks and rattles when you're driving, because they tend to show up in the first 6 to 7 months or so. And also some manufacturers don't cover squeaks and rattle after 12 months because it's not always under a full warranty. So it's really best for you to look out for those kind of stuff in the first half a year or so. Maybe have a friend or family person sit in the back on the passenger side and just listen for squeaks and rattle. Just don't forget, sometimes these things are caused by water bottles in the cup holders or key you left in the center console. So just make sure that there's nothing that could rattle or squeak, and do a proper check. Drive over some bumpy road, take it to a highway, bring it down to city road, and just listen carefully, because if you're going to get squeaks or rattle, it's going to be probably in the first 6 or 7 months when things begin to loosen a little bit. And it's also easiest to get them fixed by the dealership because it's fully covered by a warranty. So just make sure everything feels right. Check all the functionality of a vehicle, everything from sunroof to moving the seats around, because sometimes you don't check for these things and then a year has passed and you found out something's not working quite well, and dealer is saying, hey, it's been too long, we can't fix that for you. Because even if you have a 3 or 4 year warranty, sometimes it doesn't cover minor stuff like wiper not wiping properly or squeaks and rattle. They tend to not cover them after 1 year. So keep that in mind. And yeah, just look out for things that might not be quite right. The 7th and the final point I'm going to talk about is back to the oil change. When you hit the 7th month, do a second oil change. Again, that seems super aggressive and maybe unnecessary, but if you really want to keep your car for a very long time, the first 2 oil changes are critical. So you've done the first oil change at 3 months, or give or take 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers, and you want to do the second oil change at the 7th month. So the last month of the 7-month series I'm talking about, and do the oil change then. At that point, I don't know how much mileage you might have accumulated, but if you were to accumulate another 3,000 miles or 5,000 kilometers after the first oil change, then you may have to do it before the 7th month. If that makes sense to you, I hope. So again, the first oil change at 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers, or 3rd month, whichever comes first. And the second oil change on the 7th month, just a few months after the first one, or at 3,000 miles or 5,000 kilometers after the first oil change, whichever comes first. Okay, so within the first 7 months, you would likely go through 2 oil changes, and that seems really excessive. But believe me, if you can do that, you're almost 100% sure that you've eliminated all the debris, contaminants, any kind of metal shavings and stuff like that out of your engine. And that will give you the highest chance of keeping the engine reliable, because that's the most critical part of the car. So that's what I would do. First oil change and then second oil change, all within the first 7 months. And then after that, you can go back to more of a normal routine. Now, I would still suggest that you make the oil change every 3,000 miles or 5,000 kilometers, regardless of what type of engine you have, regardless whether you're towing or not. And to do that every 6 months, whichever comes first, or at least not more than 1 year. 1 year is really stretching it a lot. And so beyond the 7 month, you can do that. Now, if you really want to reduce the cost, I would say changing the oil at 5,000 miles, so roughly 8,000 kilometers, still reasonable. Just please don't follow the manufacturer's suggested oil change, which is usually 10,000, 12,000 miles, upwards of 16, 18, sometimes even 20,000 kilometers. And that is just way too long, especially for the first 1 or 2 oil changes. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. On the 7th month, it could just be oil change because you just did the first service. If you want to actually lump together the oil change with a general checkup and service on the 7th month, of course, that would be better. And then beyond that, you can stretch it out a little bit more. If you just follow that simple recipe, I truly believe that the cars can last much longer than what's happening right now in the industry, because many engines are failing or causing problems. And you guys know I'm a good friend with Ahmed from the Car Care Nut channel. And he and I always talk about these things. And we both believe that the oil change, frequent oil change at our early intervals, are the best medications for preventing any kind of engine trouble in the future. So that's what we believe in. Of course, you got to do all the other checks as well on a regular basis, but engine oil is the most important one. By the way, just to add something else, don't change the viscosity of the oil itself. Just follow with what the manufacturer is giving you. I know the engine oils are getting thinner and thinner for them to try to reduce the emission and to stretch out the fuel economy. But at least during the warranty period, don't change the viscosity. I don't think that's the actual major problem. I think the problem is the fact that the engine oils are being kept in the engine too long before the first few changes. And I think that's the reason why some of the engines are failing because metal shavings and contaminants are not being removed and they're getting stuck inside the engine, and yeah, that's going to be a trouble down the road. Of course, there are many things you can do beyond the 7th month, but I really want to focus on the first 6 or 7 months of the ownership when things are quite critical. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. And if you enjoyed my video, please give me a thumbs up, make some comments. And if you haven't done so yet, would you kindly subscribe? Because many of you guys watch my videos but are not subscribers. And I would truly appreciate it if you can subscribe. Until next video, I'm signing off for now. Thank you so much.